Time for the Daly Planet podcast show. Sit back, relax, and give us a go. Scott and Matt and maybe a guest, undertaking an epic conquest. We're gonna ramble on about movies and books and television and directors and film festivals and this really long list of stuff that I know nothing about, but they gave it to me and they really wanted me to read through it. And that's all I can really say about it, but it's gonna be great. The show.
Hello and welcome to the Daly Planet podcast, your weekly podcast for all things movies, TV, books, and anything else we feel like talking about. My name is Scott Daly and I'm your host, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host and co-awards fanatic, Matt Freeman. Matt, how's it going? I should rehearse those before I do them.
It's going good, Scott. I'm looking forward to talking about awards, which are just so exciting because you don't know who's going to win them beforehand. I can
hear the excitement in your voice. Yeah, it's Oscars week. So the Oscars are Sunday, the 20-something
of this month.
Yeah.
Which is February.
And we always talk about the Oscars on here, so we're gonna do it again because I am a little bit obsessed. I like award shows. I mean, I know they're stupid. I know they don't mean anything, but they also kind of mean something. So it's a conundrum.
Well, it draws your attention to things you wouldn't have heard of otherwise. I think that's one of the main services.
Absolutely. And I think we're going to see that in some of these nominees this year. I think it's going to be interesting how it all shakes out. But first, Matt, we have to talk about some news. We haven't talked news in a while. That's like my line for news. We haven't talked news in a while.
Yeah, it's been a whole week.
It's been 2 weeks.
Okay.
So the first thing I wanted to talk with you about just broke today, actually. Marvel is making another television show because that's what Marvel does. And it's going to be on ABC. It's called Inhumans. These are kind of like mutants, but kind of not like mutants since Marvel doesn't own mutants. But the announcement that was Game of Thrones' very own Ramsay Bolton is the lead of the Inhumans show. He's a good guy.
Oh, that's not right.
Yeah, there's a good joke in here about how he played an Inhuman in Game of Thrones. So, see, we don't actually make the jokes. We just talk about them as if they could become jokes.
It's an exercise for the audience. Fill in that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about this guy. I don't know if he's been in anything besides Game of Thrones. And he was very good at being an asshole, so maybe he'll be equally as good at being a superhero. So I don't know.
I think he's actually been in a superhero show before. It was one of those like one-off kind of like things that was discontinued after 1 year. But I think Michael actually told me about this, and he said he liked it. Don't remember what it's called, but that's another exercise for the listener.
Yeah, look that up and let us know at dalyplanetfilms@gmail.com. All right, so I think it's coming out in the fall. I think they're doing like an IMAX presentation of the first 2 episodes around Labor Day or something at a theater because it's Marvel and they have to do everything big. But then we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be funny when my kids are confused to learn that Marvel used to be like a comic book company.
Yeah.
What do you mean? They're a giant media conglomerate that makes movies and television shows and virtual reality synaptic uploads.
I will say that most of their television efforts have been kind of subpar. So especially their basic network television stuff. Like the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is not a good show.
That's not surprising.
But maybe this will be. I don't know. This Inhumans at once upon a time was a movie, and then they downgraded it to television. Now it has Ramsay Bolton in it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. All right. The next item, there's going to be a Stephen King Cinematic Universe television show. I am so excited about this. If you know me, you know I love Stephen King. Like, half my bookshelf is Stephen King books. His Dark Tower series, one of my favorite series ever. This just seems like a really, really good idea.
Yeah, I mean, it immediately makes me start like trying to imagine what exactly that's going to look like. Like, is it going to be a series of standalone episodes where each episode is kind of about, is there going to be a Cujo episode and a Needful Things episode, or is it more like there's going to be some consistent characters and they just kind of toss in different Stephen King universe mythology aspects? Because almost all of his books do take place in the same universe. It's just that it doesn't tend to matter too much. Like he almost throws things in just for flavor, but it doesn't really matter. Is my understanding anyway.
Yeah. Well, we do have a synopsis or a summary.
Okay.
So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the gist is it's going to take place in the fictional Maine town of Castle Rock, which that's the name of it. Did I mention that? The Castle Rock is the name of the show. This is a town that's been in a bunch of King's books. Most of the stories are set in Maine, and Castle Rock is a town that has been featured over and over again. So it's going to take place there. It says that it's going to feature characters from his short stories, some of the other stories. It doesn't go into detail exactly on your questions, Matt, how it's going to work. I mean, it'll probably be serialized because that's all television now, but I don't know. I'm excited.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun to see the tone of it too, because I don't know, like there are so many great movies that have been made of Stephen King material, and a lot of them have taken very different approaches and yet remained good. So it'll be fun to see how they approach this one.
Yeah, I completely agree. So that's that. I have no idea when that's coming out. I just know that Hulu has ordered 10 episodes. So we're going to have a lot of it. Hulu is pretty good about keeping their shows going too. So I bet there'll be more than one episode if the thing's remote, or more than one season if it's remotely successful. So more Stephen King is always good. It's a big year for Stephen King. We got the Dark Tower, we got the It remake, which is not looking good, and now this. So good for him. All right. The other thing I want to talk about to you is Suicide Squad, because last week it was announced that DC and Marvel is eyeing Mel Gibson for Suicide Squad 2 to direct it. This was confirmed that he is actually in talks. So even Mel Gibson, who called Batman vs Superman a piece of shit, rightfully so, is being lulled into the comic book universe. So what are your feelings on this, Matt? I'm pretty mixed on Mel Gibson personally, but
I can't remember off the top of my head what he's directed other than The Passion of the Christ. So I'm now imagining Brave. Oh, he directed Braveheart.
Yeah, he did.
Well, that was pretty good. That was probably more thematically similar than The Passion of the Christ.
Yeah.
To the subject matter of Suicide Squad. I don't know. It seems like he probably hasn't really directed in a while. Is that accurate?
Yeah, well, he did this year's Hacksaw Ridge, nominated for an Oscar for directing.
Well, I'm just going to stop talking then.
Well, I mean, it leads into what our next topic is going to be, because he basically got put in director jail after the recorded phone conversation with his ex-wife came out, where he said some very sexist and racist and anti-Semitic things. He had a whole bunch of problems with DUIs and said more anti-Semitic things. He's not a great person, but I guess Hollywood has collectively decided that they have forgiven him now. He got to direct this movie this year, and he's got an Oscar nomination for it. Now he's in talks to do a major tentpole blockbuster film. So Hollywood has gotten over their problems with him. So that's kind of where I'm stuck, because I don't think he's a good person, and I struggle with this whole separating the art from the artist thing, and I feel very uncomfortable with watching Woody Allen films, Roman Polanski films I refuse to watch. So it's really tough for me, and I don't know what the right answer is.
Yeah, I guess I don't really either. I always assume, we're always seeing the most sensationalized version of everything. In addition to that, I think that what Roman Polanski and Woody Allen probably did is worse than hate speech, basically. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
so like someone can actually be like grow beyond that, but like that it's not actually, no one was physically harmed, you know. You can realize you were wrong about the type of stuff that leads you to say the type of things that Mel Gibson says and the way he behaves.
Yeah, and I also think it's a very personal decision. Like I would never like get pissed off at someone who said, "Yeah, I mean Woody Allen might not be a good person, but I enjoy watching his films." I just think everyone should come to their own personal decision as far as that stuff goes, and go forward with it. Like, so there are people out there that can't stand Roman Polanski, but will watch his films, and that's okay too.
Yeah. The other aspect that occurs to me there is like lots of people are involved in those films. So, and it seems, you know, if you learned that the key grip was a murderer, you know, for you know, the key grip on Jaws was a murderer, you wouldn't be like, oh, well, I can never watch Jaws again.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, no, not really. I mean, it's the separating the art from the artist, I think, is harder when it's the director, maybe, and it's probably even harder when it's like a novelist, because the novelist controls every atom that goes into the product, so you know on some level that everything you're seeing is like from that person's mind, and becomes harder to even want to try to separate it, because like what's the point of even separating the art from the artist when I'm probably trying, like what I'm trying to reject about the artist, I probably should also be rejecting about the art.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. I agree with you. It's complicated. I'm still working out personally how I feel about Mel Gibson. I haven't seen Hacksaw Ridge, the film he made this year. It's out on video now, so I'm thinking about seeing it just because I like to see all the films that are nominated for Best Picture, and it's like the only one I haven't seen, so I'll probably end up seeing it, but it's something I struggle with. And it leads us nicely into our next segment, which is to talk about PewDiePie.
Yes. Directly related.
Yeah. So, for those of you at home who haven't heard what's going on who don't even know who PewDiePie is, he's a YouTuber. He's the biggest YouTuber. He has like 53 million subscribers. He is the most profitable. He's made millions of dollars off YouTube. He was doing a series of joke videos where he would go on the service Fiverr. Fiverr is basically you pay someone money to do something for you, to create something for you, or just to make something. And he was kind of going on there to make jokes about the ridiculousness that people will do for the service. The joke that he did was have some people write "Death to all Jews" on signs and stand in public holding the signs up. That was really stupid and pissed a lot of people off and got him in a lot of trouble. He basically lost... He had a television show on YouTube. He lost that. Disney backed off and stopped sponsoring him. He was on like Google's like in Spotlight channels where they list like some of their biggest YouTube channels. He got taken off that. He submitted an apology that was basically like, it was a joke, I didn't really mean it, and it's the media's fault. And Matt, what do you think about this whole issue? Because there's a lot going on here, and there's a lot of different important things about what is comedy and what it isn't, and where the responsibility of the comic lies. It's complicated.
Yeah, I mean, and because it's kind of he was, you know, there's a huge difference between saying "death to all Jews" and saying, "Isn't it terrible when people say death to all Jews," even though the former statement is embedded in the latter. So this is one of those things where when people are trying to talk about kind of edgy comedy, you always have to bring in context and like, why is this person saying this, and who is it for? And in this case, it seems that the reason why he paid people to hold anti-Semitic signs in public was to lampoon the fact that people would do such a thing for money. and he could have chosen any subject matter. He could have just made them hold signs that said we're morons, but he chose to do something really outrageous. I think probably because he thought it was like people won't believe that people would actually do this, and then they actually did it, I guess. So it is complicated and nuanced, and if he did anything dumb, then it was not realizing that the public at large does not have enough of a granular understanding of satire to understand what he was doing or where exactly he was involved in all this. And so the meme immediately became PewDiePie as a Nazi, and we were gifted with thousands of hilarious memes of PewDiePie in an SS uniform with a giant swastika in the background. By the way, PewDiePie is just like a very young Aryan-looking man, so that doesn't help him much either.
No, it does not.
He was blaming the media, but I would almost more blame like the way humans react to things. Like he was really mad at the Wall Street Journal, or was it the Wall Street Journal?
Yeah.
That published the article. Basically, the Wall Street Journal sort of started all this by saying PewDiePie did this horrible, horrible thing, and then most people just read that and didn't really read into the context and the details behind what he was doing. I guess I fall into the camp of PewDiePie apologist if you listen to what I'm saying. But,
I'm a little surprised, to be honest with you.
Really, I think it's an interesting case because it's entirely possible that I'm like missing information that if you told me, I'd be like, oh, I get it. No, he's totally a Nazi. But that's actually an interesting fact about this instance is like we live in this time where there's so many think pieces about everything, and all of them are ideologically slanted. There's literally nowhere where I could go and be like, where is the unbiased and comprehensive rundown of the PewDiePie situation? Everywhere that I would go, I'd be like, well, here's where I go for the ultra right wing slant, and here's where I go for the leftist slant. I don't know where you find the principled, even-handed, and boring take on PewDiePie, and that's a problem, I think.
Yeah. So here's I don't think PewDiePie is a Nazi. I don't think he is a white supremacist. I don't think he intentionally set out to enrage and hurt people. I just think he went for an easy joke, a cheap joke, without really thinking it through. And it pissed a lot of people off. And I think the lesson here is context is important, absolutely. But context is important on the other side, too. You have to look at the current environment we're in. Like, threats against Jewish people is up right now. Like, there are places around the country that are getting bomb threats constantly, Jewish places. People are desecrating cemeteries and knocking over Jewish gravestones. Like, it's not a great time for this. And I just think, like, you have to, like, what happens when you make a joke that's this outlandish is then people get outraged and you have to defend yourself. And at some point you start, like, defending Nazism. Like,
right.
Not technically, but you go down a path where you're defending yourself against these attacks, and you just head down that path, and at some point that's where you end up. And that's not a good place to be, obviously. So I think this is wrong-headed. I listened to his entire apology video, and while I do think that he did sincerely apologize, I thought he was also very willing to attack the media against him. And, the Wall Street Journal was a hit piece. I mean, they saw what he did, and they constructed that article to attack him. But I don't think they were fully off base for doing that. He was documented for doing and saying those things. So it's complicated. Like, I'm not saying you're wrong. This is a messy situation, and I think the kid's going to learn from this and end up being okay. But it's interesting. The thing that really pisses me off is now the cries of censorship and freedom of speech violation, blah blah blah, which is not accurate at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that ties into another thing about this that's really interesting, which is that, like we're kind of saying this isn't going to ruin him. This may literally lose him several $1 million of income, but the dude already has tens of millions of dollars from playing video games on YouTube. But
Yeah.
I mean, the fact is that this is such a weird thing where it's this guy who can be making tens of millions of dollars by playing video games on YouTube, and I don't think he fully realized how contingent that situation was on his good behavior in some vague sense. Because, like, certain podcasters I listen to could literally go on an anti-Semitic rant and probably wouldn't lose much money, because their platform is podcasting, and their listener base is their listener base, and unless okay, let me rephrase. They would alienate the fraction of their listenership who would be alienated by an anti-Semitic rant, but they wouldn't, for example, be deplatformed by their own medium, which is what happened to PewDiePie, where YouTube itself basically was like, nope, we're pulling your very access to this media distribution channel.
Well, they didn't entirely, like, he can still upload videos and make money.
Right.
They pulled his
just
show.
made it harder.
Yeah. And, absolutely, and I think this is a media platform that didn't exist 10 years ago, and this is a career that didn't exist. Like, he's a multimillionaire by putting a camera on his face while he plays scary video games, and like that's a whole new field. And I think you're right. I think he did not understand, and I don't think anyone understood the ramifications when you are that person with that level of visibility, what that means.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, he's young. He's a kid. Like, he literally just started playing video games on the internet one time, and suddenly he's a millionaire in charge of, like, his own personal media empire. And I mean, he messed up. Yeah.
Right. It does make me wonder if he's going to react to this by kind of pulling away from YouTube such that, outside forces have less control over his income streams, or whether he'll just decide that he needs to behave better and, kind of straighten up his act and just keep making money the same way and, not make any more borderline jokes.
Yeah. And I mean, comedy's hard, right? And I think he went for the easy joke. And I hope, like, he learns from this. I don't think he's a comedian, really. Like, that's not his job, and he's moving into different media things as he expands his quote-unquote empire, and these are growing pains. The kid's going to be fine. I'm very interested in the people that are, like, comparing him to Donald Trump and this PC culture and, like, this anti-freedom of speech nonsense that I'm hearing, which is, of course, like, reactionary culture to reactionary culture, and it gets this whole freaking whirlwind of nonsense. But that's that. I think we're basically in agreement.
Yeah, I think we are. I think we're much more in agreement than with some of the more fringe positions that we've been exposed to online. I'm just amused by the whole fact of the matter that there's now a scandal involving PewDiePie being a Nazi.
I forget his real name. I think it's just funny to say PewDiePie because
definitely.
There's a millionaire whose name is PewDiePie. I think it's Kevin something. I'm not sure.
And the most famous YouTuber with more followers than people who vote for president.
Yeah, that's so insane. All right. So that's our news. That went a little longer this time, but the PewDiePie stuff was important and I think relevant to entertainment. So we didn't completely go off track there. It was a relevant conversation. Yeah. So let's move on to the Academy Awards, which has no controversy surrounding it at all.
Yes. Never. Yes. Well, since I never see movies, I'll be the host and I will walk us through the movies that are being nominated for the various awards this year, and then Scott will let us know which one will win. Yeah, and I would like to say that the last 2 years I've gotten a 75% on these, which granted is not great,
but it's not too bad either. I think there's 24 awards total. We're not going to talk about all of them tonight. We're not going to go into the nitty-gritty of some of the less important awards, but we're going to hit the big ones. So, I mean, I feel like I'm trustworthy. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So for Best Animated Feature Film, the nominees are Kubo and the Two Strings, Moana, My Life as a Zucchini, The Red Turtle, and Zootopia. Scott, did you want me to read the directors and so forth?
No, we don't do that.
All right. So what do you think?
Yeah, so I obviously want Kubo and the Two Strings to win, as that's my favorite film from last year, total. I never saw My Life as a Zucchini, so I can't really comment on it. I think a Disney film is going to win this, considering the fact that there's two of them on here. And I think it's going to be Zootopia. It's a type of film that just does very well with the Academy. It has a very important anti-racism message to it. And it won the Golden Globe. I just have a feeling that that's going to win. Moana has just not stayed in the cultural consciousness at all. The movie kind of just came and went.
So angering to me.
I know.
Yeah,
this is yeah.
I saw Moana and Zootopia, and I think Moana affected me more, but part of that may just be that my kids love it a lot, and so it's kind of ever present in our household. Maybe it's stuck around more in my household than it has in the culture at large.
Yeah, I mean, I will say Moana is a twist on a very traditional type story, whereas Zootopia is kind of doing something wholly unexpected. Zootopia surprised me a lot. I was kind of shocked that they would go there with a kids film like that. It's very transparent metaphor for racism and segregation and fear of the other. And the metaphor doesn't quite work. We talked about this before, but I don't know. I guess I'm okay with this. I wish Kubo would win, and maybe it will, but I just think it's going to be Zootopia.
I think you're probably right. All right, moving on to Best Documentary Feature. We have Fire at Sea, I Am Not Your Negro, Life Animated, OJ, Made in America, and 13th. Who's going to win this one?
This is a tough category. There are a lot of good documentaries in this category. I think it's going to be a competition between OJ Made in America and 13th. I think OJ is going to win. That's the 8-hour ESPN documentary that technically played in a theater twice, which gets it eligibility for Oscars. I'm not sure how that all shakes out. The only way I think OJ doesn't win is if a lot of Academy voters are resistant to the idea of a quote-unquote miniseries being up for a feature film type award. But I think it's going to pull it out. 13th is a really great documentary too. That's on Netflix. So if you haven't seen that one, I would definitely go see that. But I think OJ is probably gonna pick it off. Which is it's worth the 8 hours. It's such a good the detail it goes through with OJ's life and the issues in the LAPD. It's so good.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't heard much about that. I've heard a lot about 13th, though. So, all right. Moving on to Best Foreign Language Film. We have Tana, Land of Mine, from Denmark. The first one was from Australia. Tony Erdmann from Germany. The Salesman from Iran. And A Man Called Ove from Sweden.
So this is a very contentious category, Matt. If you had asked me a month ago, I would have definitely said that Tony Erdmann was going to take the prize. Tony Erdmann's a really, really great film. It's like a 3-hour movie, but it's funny, it's heartfelt, it's beautiful. But then Donald Trump attempted to ban all people from Iran coming in, including the director of The Salesman, who said that even if he was allowed into the country, which he would be because of the stay on the ban, he would not be attending the Oscars. So I think it's a very political move for the members of the Academy to vote The Salesman in. as a statement against the anti-immigration ban. So I think that's probably where the Academy is going to go. I haven't seen The Salesman yet. I'm seeing it tomorrow. But I love Tony Erdmann, so I would be happy with that winning. But I think politics is going to win out here, and I think The Salesman is going to be the victor here.
Yeah. Scott, the Academy would never make a politically motivated choice.
I've read in a couple of places, actually, that A Man Called Ove could dark horse in because the people that were definitely going to vote for Tony Erdmann but switched to The Salesman for political reasons could split the vote between those two, and Sweden could pull it up. But
interesting.
I don't know. We'll see.
That's cool. All right, best original score. We have Jackie, La La Land, Lion, Moonlight, and Passengers. And I've still seen none of these, so what do you think?
So we've now entered the portion of the podcast where you're going to be hearing me say La La Land like a bunch of times. I think La La Land's going to win this. It's a musical. So normally, not only is it a musical, it's one of the most popular films among the Academy. It has 14 nominations total. This just seems like a shoo-in for La La Land. I will say that the Jackie score and the Moonlight score are absolutely incredible, and I would be super happy if either of those won. But I think this is La La Land.
Okay. Sounds good. I will not argue with you. The best original song. We have Audition from La La Land, Can't Stop the Feeling from Trolls, City of Stars from La La Land, The Empty Chair from Jim, the James Foley Story, and How Far I'll Go from Moana. And I'll just chime in to say they picked the wrong song for Moana, so that one.
Which one do you think it should be?
I liked We Know the Way a lot. That was my favorite. But really, there are like 2 or 3 songs from that movie that are probably better than How Far I'll Go. How Far I'll Go was just a big like standard Disney ballad.
Yeah, it was the Princess I Want song. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, but they were much more fun songs. Like, You're Welcome is such a fun song. Like that's the iconic song from that movie. That's gonna be why the movie is remembered. And then We Know the Way, I just think is a much better song. So that's my opinion. I haven't seen any of these other things, so but anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you had asked me months ago, like I thought this was we're going to shower Lin-Manuel Miranda with praise moment. This is the last award he needs to complete his EGOT. So I thought for sure this was going to happen. But the popularity of La La Land is kind of overwhelming here. It's got 2 nominations on here, and I think the one that's going to win is City of Stars, which I think is not only not as good as Audition, the other song nominated, but one of the worst songs in the movie, which is kind of crazy to me. It's kind of become like the anthem of the film, and it's designed that way, so that makes sense. But it's just not a very strong song. Like there's like 4 different songs in the movie that are better than it, so it's a little frustrating to me. But I think it's going to win. The only way that Moana would magically pick this up is again if because they put 2 La La Land songs in here, they split the vote, and that pushes Moana up in the victor. But I'm 90% sure it's going to be La La Land, and it's going to be City of Stars.
All right, well, I'll cross my fingers for Dark Horse.
I would love for Miranda to win. I want him to get his EGOT. I mean, he'll probably get it next year or years down the road anyway. I mean, but I would love him to get it this year.
Yeah, me too. All right. Next category, Best Film Editing. Arrival, Hacksaw Ridge, Hell or High Water, La La Land, and Moonlight. And I have seen 2 of these films. So,
what's the other one you saw?
I think I saw Hell or High Water. Let me verify that that's the movie that I'm thinking that I saw.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to be boring and say that La La Land's going to win this. Once again, the editing in La La Land is really good. It is. I mean, they have a lot of these musical numbers going by, and what they do with the edit is smart. I mean, I think Tom Cross, who edited this, also edited Whiplash, and I think he won the Academy Award for editing in that, which was also incredible. I think the editing in Whiplash is probably stronger. The shame here for me is that Arrival is so well edited. Like, it's such, like, Arrival is a wonderful film, and the editing is, like, the pace that movie sets and how it does the cuts, and it's just beautiful. And
I finally saw that movie again, and I'm not going to spoil anything here, but I think that the editing is equally important to the acting in terms of how you interpret certain things.
Yeah.
Based on certain pieces of knowledge. So definitely very important and impressive editing there.
Yeah, and it's a film about communication, right? And the edit communicates so much to you. So it's, and it could win. Like, I mean, I'm saying La La Land's going to win a lot of these just because that seems to be the way things going. It's just the type of film that does very well in these categories. But I mean, they could surprise us. I would be very happy with Arrival winning this category.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I haven't seen La La Land, so I'm just like, I don't care. But I'm probably going to see it and then be like, oh, this is great. And then I'll be happy.
You might. I mean, there's a level of La La Land backlash going on right now that's, I guess, not surprising. Whenever something gets tied for most nominations ever, there's going to be backlash. But I don't know. I loved it. So
I like Ragaz quite a lot. So all right. Next category: Best Cinematography. Arrival, La La Land, Lion, Moonlight, and Silence. What's your pick here?
So this is the only movie, or the only category that Silence was nominated for, which is Martin Scorsese's 3-hour religious epic, which I loved. I'm not sure why the Academy didn't. I don't know if they just didn't get screeners out or what happened there, but this is it. I'm going to say La La Land's going to win again, much for the same reason that it won for film editing. I do agree that the cinematography in this movie is beautiful. The way the opening shot is made to look like it's a oneer throughout the entire choreographed dance, and it's just beautiful. But again, like, the cinematography in Arrival is so good, and like, I feel like if La La Land wasn't here, Arrival would be like sweeping a lot of these awards. But I just think La La Land's going to win this. And I didn't even talk about Moonlight, which is also a very, very beautiful film. Like, the way that film uses color is incredible. But it's going to be La La Land, Matt. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, just the Silence trailer is pretty beautiful, so I'm not surprised that was nominated.
Yeah, I'm really curious. I wish there was a way to find out, like, why it didn't get anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we can look into that. Maybe that'll come out. Let's keep our ears open. All right, Best Original Screenplay. Hell or High Water, La La Land, The Lobster, Manchester by the Sea, and 20th Century Women. So I've seen 2 of these again. So I did see Hell or High Water, and I actually liked that. And I saw The Lobster. So what do you think is going to win?
I think La La Land's going to win again. I actually think, like, screenplay is kind of up in the air. I think it's going to win off popularity alone, but the best written movie out of this list is Manchester by the Sea. I love that movie so much. The screenplay is so incredible. I really like Hell or High Water too. I didn't like The Lobster as much as a lot of people. I really like 20th Century Women, although I think the strong points in that are not necessarily the screenplay. I think Manchester by the Sea could swoop in and steal it, but I just think La La Land's going to pick this up.
Yeah, I liked Hell or High Water, but I frankly not really seeing why they would have it for best screenplay. I don't think it would have worked very well if it hadn't been for the acting. Like to me, to be a great screenplay, it needs to be something that'll work in the hands of lesser actors too. And it's like, yeah, a lot of this wouldn't have worked at all if it didn't happen to have extremely stellar Ben Foster and Jeff Bridges in starring roles. So
yeah, you're right, and I think a lot of that movie is the acting and the directing and just the feel and the tone it establishes.
Right, exactly.
But yeah,
Okay.
La La Land.
Yep.
It's like I love the movie, but it's just like I want to see other things win things.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't. This is not going to be a good analogy, but it's like when the Super Bowl is just like a landslide in one direction. You're just like, well, that was a bad game. That wasn't an exciting game. It's a more exciting game when the score is close. It's a more exciting game when lots of movies win different things, and it's a more colorful palette. I don't know. Is that actually true? Am I wrong?
I think that's a really good analogy, actually. And I think, like you were talking about at the beginning of the podcast, the Oscars to me are an important way of letting people know about films they might not have heard about before. Everyone knows Arrival. La La Land. Everyone knows La La Land. So we're not really like bringing attention to films that need it.
Yeah.
But it's a great movie. I don't know. It's tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Moving on to Best Adapted Screenplay. We have Arrival, Fences, Hidden Figures, Lion, and Moonlight. You know, I know nothing about Lion at all, and I keep seeing it on this list.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
So I can't talk about it. I've read reviews. I've heard good things. I've heard bad things. I don't think it's going to win, though.
What do you think it is?
I think Moonlight is going to win this one. Moonlight is a spectacular script. It's such a good movie. It's kind of weird because like it was adapted from a play that was actually never performed. Like actually it was Terrell Alvin McCraney, I think, is the writer. He wrote a screenplay. The play was never performed because like it was just impractical. Like it couldn't work on the stage. And then I think Barry Jenkins found it, and they together adapted it for screen. So it's kind of like very loosely adapted. Or actually, that's the wrong word. It's a very true adaptation, I think, but it's just like it's using the word adaptation very loosely because it's kind of almost an original thing. Again, I wish Arrival could win this category because I think I read the short story that Arrival is based on. It's a fabulous story, and the way that Eric Hesser adapted this very complex and complicated story into something that was as beautiful as Arrival ended up being was like commendable. So if you're measuring against how well something is adapted, then Arrival should win it. But I don't think when they look at this category, I don't think that's what they think. They just say which is the best screenplay.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. There's all kinds of other factors you could bring in that I don't think they would consider. Like I was reading about with Arrival, they brought in all these physicists to consult and just for like the actors to basically observe and copy their mannerisms and stuff and kind of make sure that the adaptation was accurate while also making it entertaining. And I thought that was cool because usually they don't bother with that kind of thing, and then they end up putting things in the movies that annoy scientifically literate people. But Arrival had absolutely
like yourself.
Yeah, like, well, yes, but like that's one thing about Arrival is there's zero things in it that are like even slightly wrong. It's all just, you know, it's perfect. It's a perfect movie. It should win everything.
It's such a good movie.
Yeah. Okay. Best Supporting Actress.
Oh, we're in the acting ones now.
Yes, we are. We have Viola Davis from Fences, Naomi Harris from Moonlight, Nicole Kidman in Lion, Octavia Spencer in Hidden Figures, and Michelle Williams from Manchester by the Sea. Yeah, I have seen zero. What do you think?
So this is about as certain as I can be about some of these nominations. I am 99.9% sure that Viola Davis is going to win for Fences. And it's absolutely well-deserved. Her performance in that movie is incredible. The only weird thing about this is, like, they list her here as supporting. She's a lead. Like, she's the female lead in the film. A strategic decision was made to put her up as supporting because they felt that she had a better chance of winning, and they were right. But she's the lead in this film, and she's spectacular in it. So a deserved Oscar, but she should be up for Best Actress. Michelle Williams in Manchester by the Sea, it's a very, very small role, but she's incredible in it. Like, one of the most haunting and affecting scenes in that movie is her performance and her breakdown, and I won't spoil what happens, but it's fabulous. And of the other movies that I've seen, Naomi Harris is excellent in Moonlight. Octavia Spencer is excellent in Hidden Figures. I'd be happy with any of these, but it's going to be Viola Davis.
Okay. I will take your word for it. And we will mark down your level of certainty so that we can revisit this.
Uh-oh.
All right. Best Supporting Actor. Mahershala Ali in Moonlight. Jeff Bridges in Hell or High Water. Lucas Hedges in Manchester by the Sea. Dev Patel in Lion. And Michael Shannon from Nocturnal Animals. What do you think, Scott?
Well, I'm happy that Michael Shannon got nominated. I thought he was the best part of Nocturnal Animals, which is a movie I had very mixed feelings about. I thought Jeff Bridges was incredible in Hell or High Water. Lucas Hedges was really good in Manchester by the Sea. But I'm almost as positive as I was on Viola Davis that Mahershala Ali is going to win for Moonlight. This is a performance that is not very long. He's not in the movie very much. The movie's kind of divided into 3 parts, and he's only in the very first part. But he kind of sets everything in the movie in motion, and his performance is so pivotal to what the main character goes through and who the main character eventually ends up becoming. It's a really good performance. He's a really, really good actor. He's going to win.
Yeah, you're probably right. I only saw Hell or High Water, and I know Jeff Bridges definitely deserves the nomination at the very least. But,
yeah, I would agree with that, yeah.
Okay, Best Actress. Isabelle Huppert in Elle or Ellie?
It's Elle.
Elle.
She's French. It's
okay.
Huppert.
Huppert from Elle. Ruth Negga in Loving. Natalie Portman in Jackie. Emma Stone in La La Land. And Meryl Streep from Florence Foster Jenkins. All right, who's it going to be?
So Meryl Streep is just in here because of Meryl Streep.
Right.
I loved Natalie Portman's performance in Jackie. I thought she really went for it, and it worked. Like, she is very seriously trying to recreate Jackie Kennedy's accent and the way she talks and how she holds herself, and it's a really good performance. I don't think it's going to win, though. I think Emma Stone's going to pick this up for La La Land. It's just like, it's a type of performance that they love to award. I don't know if it's the first time she's been nominated, but it would be her first win. They love first wins. But I will say that Isabelle Huppert was incredible in Elle. It's a performance that is absolutely pivotal to the movie working, and she does a great job. And the Academy could see this as a way of giving her like an honorary, like, lifetime achievement type thing, because she's been fantastic her entire career and has never been honored. So I could see that happening, but I kind of feel like it's La La Land.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. All right. Are we on to Best Actor? Yes. Best Actor: Casey Affleck from Manchester by the Sea. Andrew Garfield in Hacksaw Ridge, Ryan Gosling from La La Land, Viggo Mortensen in Captain Fantastic, and Denzel Washington in Fences. Okay. Interesting. All right, what do you think?
So this is one of the ones I'm the least sure on. I'm glad that Viggo Mortensen got nominated. Captain Fantastic was a pretty good movie. You and I have talked about that movie before.
Yeah.
It's a very good performance. I'm glad he got picked. I don't know why Andrew Garfield's in here. I feel like there's better people you could have gone with. But I think it's going to come down to Denzel Washington or Casey Affleck. Oddly enough, Ryan Gosling, as much love as La La Land has, I just don't think his performance is universally loved as much as the movie as a whole is. So I don't think he's going to get it. This is one of the few categories that La La Land is not going to win. But it's going to be very, very close between Casey Affleck and Denzel Washington. I think Denzel Washington is going to pick it off. I think he's going to win in the end. And his performance in Fences is incredible. He's an amazing actor. Casey Affleck did a very good job too. I'd be happy with either one of those results, but it's going to be Denzel.
All right. Yeah, I seem to remember a lot of hype for Casey Affleck's performance, but I haven't seen it, so I will have to defer to you.
Yeah, they kind of I think it was one of those things where it was at a film festival and people were just like, mark it down right now, Casey Affleck's winning the Oscar. I think he had a little bit of controversy with a sexual assault case. I don't want to say any more details than that because I don't know the details of it. But that kind of made his results a little shakier. And then I think just Denzel's power performance has overshadowed him a little bit.
Okay. We pause for 30 seconds.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Okay.
All right, we got two more.
Okay. We are on to Best Director. We have Denis Villeneuve. Damn it, I never say it right. Denis.
I don't know how to say it either.
Villeneuve.
That's probably right.
Is it Denis or Denis?
I think it's Denis.
Okay. I'm going to have to learn this when he does Dune, because then he'll be my favorite director. For Arrival. Mel Gibson for Hacksaw Ridge. Damien Chazelle for La La Land. Kenneth Lonergan for Manchester by the Sea. And Barry Jenkins for Moonlight. And who's going to take this one home, Scott?
So I think this award is being gifted to Damien Chazelle. La La Land's a really good movie. It was really well directed. I would be happy with 4 out of 5 of these nominees winning. Mel Gibson's the only one I'd be pissed off about, but that's not going to happen. I would love to see Barry Jenkins win. I don't think an African American's ever won for director before. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's true. Moonlight is the film that I think could do it. Kenneth Lonergan did such a good job with Manchester by the Sea. We've already talked about Arrival a bunch and how well everything in that movie's done, and the directing is kind of the leadership of all that. So, but I just think La La Land, I don't think Best Director and Best Picture split that often, and I don't think it's gonna happen this year either, which is kind of a spoiler for the next category. But
all right. Speaking of which, the Best Picture nominees are Arrival, Fences, Hacksaw Ridge, Hell or High Water, Hidden Figures, La La Land, Lion, Manchester by the Sea, and Moonlight. And we've heard all those names repeatedly.
Many times.
I'm actually, I guess, surprised at Hell or High Water. When I was watching it, I was like, oh, this is a pretty good movie. Got a nice tone. But did not think that it was going to be a Best Picture nominee. Yeah,
that was, I think that's part of their expanding it to more. There's more movies that get dropped in there that you wouldn't expect. And I think that's one of them. Hacksaw Ridge was a real surprise for me. But again, I haven't seen the movie, but I know it didn't get great reviews. But I liked Hell or High Water. I'm fine with it being in here. It's not going to win, though, because this is La La Land's year, and it's going to win Best Picture. I'm pretty sure on this one, too. I think there's a chance it might not pick up some of those smaller awards that we went through, but it's the Best Picture. This is a movie celebrating Hollywood, celebrating actors, celebrating musicals of yesteryear. It's made to win this award, and it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. All right, well, that's all the awards we have. It looks like landslide for La La Land.
Yeah, so it was nominated for 14 awards. We didn't cover all of them, but I think it's going to win 11 of the 14, which ties it for the record number of wins as well. So La La Land's not going to break a record, but I think it's going to tie it. The thing that I was surprised about, Matt, when I went through all my picks, Arrival got nominated for 8 awards, and I don't think it's going to win any of them, which is really disappointing.
Yeah. I hope you're wrong about that.
I really do too. It's the Oscars. Like, Arrival is still going to be a movie that I think is looked at and heralded for a very long time. It's kind of a movie that proves that these mid-budget sci-fi films can be successful and make money. It did very well. They re-released it for Oscar season. Like, it's in theaters again right now, so it's making even more money. And it's a really good movie. So I don't think Arrival will be hurt by its 0 wins, but I am kind of disappointed.
Yeah, because it deserves a lot of recognition, I think.
Yeah,
but that's not the only snubs.
Beautiful transition
that happened this year. Scott, why don't you walk us through your list of what you think should have been nominated?
Yeah, these are just my own personal, but they're right. So,
Yes.
So one of the things that upset me to no end was, one, that La La Land was good enough to get 2 nominations on Best Song, and that the Justin Timberlake Troll song was nominated. When you have a movie like Sing Street, which is an excellent movie that is kind of a musical too, because it's about a band. It's about a guy that, to get with a girl, makes his own band, and they make a bunch of great music. Drive It Like You Stole It is my favorite song from the album, but there are a lot of other good ones. Like, I'm not saying it should win the award, but it should have gotten nominated. Like, this is a crime. Speaking of crimes, Arrival was not nominated for Best Score, even though the score to Arrival is incredible. It's the same guy that did the score for Sicario, and I'm blanking on his name right now, but he worked with Denis on Sicario, and the score for that was incredible too. But Arrival was disqualified because one of the main songs in the film uses a bit that was used in a previous score, and that is enough, as far as the Academy is concerned, to make it not an original score, and therefore disqualified. Some of the rules are very weird and specific like that, but it's still a really, really good score. I watched the movie again the other day, and the music is so important to what they're doing, and it's so good.
Yeah. The I don't know how to describe it, but some of the just atmospheric aspects of the score are very unique and noteworthy.
Absolutely, yeah. Another score snub was one of my favorite movies of last year was Swiss Army Man. I think this is such a weird, fun little movie, and the score is almost entirely Paul Dano and Daniel Radcliffe doing a cappella noises, and it's just so wonderful and creative and original. There's a part where they redo the Jurassic Park theme, and maybe that was enough to get it disqualified. I don't know. I didn't read anywhere it was disqualified, but Swiss Army Man as a whole was completely left out of the Oscars, which I thought was very unfortunate because I love that movie. It's probably just a little too weird for the Academy, but I was really bummed about that. But that's Swiss Army Man for original score. You should check out the score if you have Spotify or iTunes Music or whatever, because it's great. It's so good. And now we're going to go back to Arrival, Matt, because somehow Arrival got 8 nominations, was nominated for the Best Picture, was nominated for Best Director, but the leading actress, Amy Adams, who is absolutely instrumental to that film working and succeeding, was left out of the nomination. She was not nominated for Best Actress, and I think that is ridiculous.
Yeah, I think they just, there tends to be a big showy scene for every Best Actor or Actress or Supporting nomination, and the mastery of her performance in that movie was actually in its subtlety and how much she's able to communicate without acting in a showy kind of big visible fashion. So I see, based on their own apparent standards, I see why she wasn't nominated, but I think that's just wrong. I mean, what she's doing in that movie is so much more vital to the movie working, and it would seem to me difficult to pull off than like a big showy monologue would be.
I think you're absolutely right. I think there's so much going on internally with her that she has to show things without showing it. Like, there's one level of acting where you're showcasing emotions that you feel, but there's another level where you're showcasing your character hiding emotions while showing other emotions and still letting those hidden emotions come through enough to where us, the audience, understands what's going on, but without letting the other characters in the scene know. Like, it's so complicated and difficult, and she does it so well.
Yeah.
I think this is the one I'm most upset about.
Yeah.
There's another actress that was left out, too, that I thought was bad. 20th Century Woman was a really, really good film. It was nominated in a couple other places, but Annette Bening, who leads the movie, was not nominated, and she is kind of like Amy Adams. She's the anchor of this movie. She is everything in the movie, and her performance is so good, and for her to be left out is just really disappointing. But
okay.
And lastly, Deadpool was not nominated for anything. There was a lot of rumors that Deadpool was going to pick up a Best Picture nomination, and it ended up not doing it. And look, I think it's ridiculous, and I can't imagine how many think pieces would have been made if Deadpool was nominated for Best Picture. But I thought it would be a little fun to throw the movie a bone. It would never win, but just to say Best Picture nominated Deadpool would just be hilarious to me. And it's not a bad movie. I enjoyed the film, so I don't know. It's not really a snub, but I kind of wish it had happened.
Yeah, I don't think the Academy would let themselves be made part of a joke in that way.
Yeah, you're right.
They don't seem to have that level of a sense of humor or self-awareness.
You're right, but
because really, I mean, that's totally the kind of joke that would be in Deadpool. Would be like that, pretending that this is a movie that would get a Academy Award nomination.
I mean, can you imagine in the sequel how much they would make fun of that?
Right, exactly.
It was nominated for the Golden Globe, so I'm sure they'll make fun of that. But oh man. But yeah, that's it for the Oscars. I think there was a lot of controversy the last couple of years with the hashtag #OscarSoWhite thing. They made improvements in the diversity of the members of the Academy this past year, and it shows. There are a lot of African Americans nominated. There's not too much of any other ethnicity here or race, but it's a step in the right direction. I think I picked a lot of. I think in the major acting categories, I think 3 African Americans are going to win. So that's good as a whole. They've taken steps to fix the problem, and that's good. I think these Oscars are going to be very controversial because I think they're going to be very political. People are going to be putting a lot of politics in their speeches. I think that's okay because I think art is political, and the movies that they're up there representing are making political statements, whether you want them to or not. So it's okay for the people involved in the movies to use their stage and their platform to make political statements as well. But that's me. So I know a lot of people are going to be getting annoyed about it, but that's the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a fairly established norm that people do that during Oscar speeches. So let's just be ready for it.
Yep. All right, so that's it. This Sunday, if you want to see all of my other nominations, I'm going to be posting articles Thursday and Friday that'll have all of this stuff written out, so you can use it for your Oscar party picks. Because I am right, so you should just listen to me. I actually, I did have an Oscar party last year, Matt, and we did do a picks thing, and I think I gave the winner a copy of the Best Picture winning film or something, but the person who won because they picked what I said on my website. So,
All right.
I was surprised that not everyone at the party did that, because I thought that they would try to cheat that way, but they didn't.
It's funny. Well, yeah, maybe they thought they knew better than you here and there, and obviously that was their mistake.
Impossible. I'm hoping to beat. I literally like 75% exactly the last 2 years. I'm hoping to improve on that a little this year, but we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, so let's wrap this thing up and let's talk about what we've been watching. Matt, what have you been watching?
I've been watching this sitcom, I guess, called Schitt's Creek, spelled SCHITT. And it stars Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara, and also Eugene Levy's son. And, you know, my wife is a huge fan of Christopher Guest movies, and Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara are very often co-stars in those movies. So she actually we started watching it because we almost assumed it was a Christopher Guest movie or Christopher Guest show, but it has nothing to do with him apparently. It's just that those actors like each other, I guess. And the premise is basically it's on its second season is over now, and it'll be doing a third season. And the premise is that there's this super rich family, and Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara are the husband and wife, and then they have 2 kids who are super spoiled, and they lose all of their money in like the first episode, and then they have to go live in like the one remaining asset they have, which is this town that they own, which was deemed by the government to have no value, and thus the government didn't want to bother confiscating it. So it's just this terrible town, but they own the town. And I don't know, that in itself doesn't explain much. It's just a great sitcom. It's really funny, a lot of laughs per minute. I love the particular comedy style of the leads.
Is it multicam, like with laugh tracks, or is it just like a single cam?
It's I don't know how you describe that. It's more like a movie. It's shot more like a movie, you know?
Yeah. So single cam, yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I am looking at Eugene Levy's son right now, and he looks scarily like Eugene Levy. This is really weird.
Yeah, totally. And he's the son in the movie, which works pretty well. And then they also have a daughter, and the kids are both spoiled, but in slightly different ways, and that makes it fun. And there's fun interactions between them and the townsfolk, and I don't know, it kind of defies easy description of why it's funny, like most things, but I recommend it.
Where is it available?
Netflix is where we're watching it.
Oh, cool.
I believe.
I had never heard of this show, so now I'm kind of interested to check it out.
Yeah, it's got a good couple seasons in the can. Or yeah, that's right. So check it out. Speaking
of shows that are a little older, but I'm just catching up on them. I've been watching The Americans, which I don't know if you've seen that. I tore through the first 2 seasons with my wife in 4 days or something ridiculous. I love this show. It's on FX. I think the first 4 seasons are available on Amazon Prime. It is so good. It is really good. It's about a Russian family during the Soviet Union era of the 80s, and they're basically spies pretending to be a normal American family with kids and everything. And man, I haven't seen tension and good writing like this since Breaking Bad, really. That's how much I like the show.
Okay.
So I know this is old news and I'm catching up to it, but I think the 5th season's coming out in March, and all the previous 4 are available for streaming, so it's a really good time to catch up on it.
All right. There's just too many shows now to keep up with. So, but if you compare it to Breaking Bad, that bumps it right up to the top of the list for me.
Yeah, and it's for me, I've been hearing over and over again, this show is the real deal. This is a good show, and I just haven't made it my priority. And then finally, I just sat down and said, okay, we're watching the first episode of the show, and then it was bam, I was in. So
cool.
And then I've seen some movies. I saw Lego Batman, which is absolutely incredible. Matt, you have to see that. This is the best Batman movie since The Dark Knight. It might be the second best Batman movie ever. That's how good it is.
Awesome. Do you think I could take my kids to that?
I do. It's, there was things I enjoyed in it, but it is definitely a very kid-focused film. There's specific parts that I think that children did and will find hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's very many scary parts that they would get scared at. I think they would really enjoy it.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to take them. So.
And I saw John Wick 2, which is excellent. I know you didn't love John Wick for some stupid reason, but I don't think this is as good as the sequel or the original. But it is as good as I think a sequel to an action film could be. The original was very tight and focused, and this kind of expands on the mythology in interesting ways, but it loses a little bit of that tightness as it does it. But it's a good movie. Keanu Reeves is back. Good. Now there's words that there's going to be another Matrix movie. Things are going crazy.
Whoa. Hold on.
You didn't hear about that?
No.
It's just rumors. I think they just asked Keanu Reeves if he would be up for it, and he said absolutely. So I don't know if that'll materialize in anything, but
probably not.
Probably not. But that's that.
Okay.
All right. So that's it for us this week. We know we promised you the Daly Planet University podcast last week, but it didn't happen. So we're moving it to next week, and that's going to be really exciting. But before that, Matt, where can you be found on the internet?
I tweet at @MoreDailyMail, and I write erstwhile articles. That's not how you use that word.
That's not the correct usage.
The articles that I write are erstwhile for DailyPlanetFilms.com.
Awesome. I also tweet at Scott Daly 85. That's DALY. And I also write for DailyPlanetFilms.com. Right now I'm in I say the middle, but it's really the beginning of my 103-part series where I'm going through BBC's list of the top 100 movies of the 21st century. I'm watching each of them and writing a short little review of each of them. Today, as we record this, I just posted number 98, which was the Abbas Kiarostami film 10, which I thought was very good. I thought all the movies so far were really good, but you can check back basically almost every day or every other day because I'm trying to get this all done in a year, so I'm having to post these very frequently. And you can also, all the other Oscar coverage, you can find at Daly Planet Films as well. And you can follow us on Twitter, or you can follow the podcast on Twitter at Daly Planet Films. You can find us on iTunes, YouTube, Android services. If you could please subscribe, review, share, all that good stuff, that would be great. That's all we had. Matt, this was fun. Thanks for leading our Oscar discussion.
Sure, Scott.
And let's hope I'm right. Let's go for 80% this year.
Yeah, I know you can do it.
Let's do it. All right. Thanks, everyone, and we will see you next week.
The podcast is over. It's done. We hope you all had some fun. Go back to your work or your school. Maybe the gym. Hey, that's cool. Regardless, just go away. But please come back next